resistance music across the Asia Pacific. And Alessandra is sponsored today by Professor Jennifer Dixon.
Yeah.
She's such a
She brought the kids' microphone.
She did.
Before I begin, I just have a small favor to ask of everyone, if you can please repeat after me or clap along if you can. So, free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Palestine to the Philippines!
From Palestine to the Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
Palestine to the Philippines!
Free Palestine to the Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
My name is Alessandra Carriaga. I just want to say thank you to Dr. Jenny Dixon for all your help. And it's an honor to be here with everyone today and to speak about my thesis on resistance music across the Asia Pacific. So, very recently we've seen two great instances of resistance music in the mainstream. Kendrick Lamar's revolutionary Super Bowl performance and Bad Bunny's newest album and short films. But even aside from that, we've heard American jazz, soul, and rap anthems, and moving outside of the US, we know of reggae, bossa nova, and Afro-pop, and many other forms many of us didn't know were resistance music. But even without these, whistling in a prison cell, or singing a lullaby, or chanting like we just did together, these are all types of resistance music. This research explores this genre specifically from the region of the Asia Pacific. That's the continents of Asia and Oceania, or the so-called East, the Western study of which Palestinian scholar Edward Said condemns as it's historically been based on obsessive fantasy, poor research methods, and racist biases. So for my paper, I wanted to study about resistance music by and for Asian and Oceanic people. I collected 17 songs under criteria such as the background or identities of each artist and whether the songs can be deemed as resistance pieces by publication, usage in protests, or censorship laws. Then from this sample pool, I created and used a worksheet to quantitatively code the lyrics into themes, as well as qualitatively analyze the musical characteristics of each piece. And from there, I found answers to these two research questions, which can be summed up into categories. One, what are the patterns in the lyrics of the resistance music? And two, what are the characteristics of the music in resistance pieces? So let's start with the patterns. For time purposes, I'll be covering the top 3 most represented patterns in the data, but no, there were about 15 in total. The most frequented pattern was, interestingly, nature, food, and life. Many of the artists that use this theme use nature as a metaphor for themselves, sharing a similar sentiment. That a person is culturally tied to the environment they are native to. This is a common act of resistance against colonists and foreign powers that actively take away their land. Indigenous peoples' cultures, beliefs, and cuisines are intertwined with the aspects of their physical environments, which is a connection settlers and imperialists cannot have with their stolen lands. Other artists use this theme to speak up about environmentalism, like keeping the oceans nuclear free or preserving life for generations to come. On to the next theme. Key terms about resistance actually came up second in the sample pool, which I think shows the importance of knowing who you are and what it is you're fighting for before joining a resistance movement. Keywords of this kind include revolution, freedom, liberty, generally buzzwords that aim to inspire and unite, but a lot of these also call to expose regimes and conflicts for what they really are, with bigger terminology, such as the genocide of the Armenian people, the apartheid regime of the Palestinians, and against the Palestinians, and the racist American government towards the people of Hawaii. Using these terms many people are uncomfortable with, in the setting of a song, makes them easier to grapple with and then to accept. The third theme we'll look at is about war, destructions, and prisons. Some lyrics that touch on this theme aimed to expose the particular weapons that are terrorizing their people, but it also aims to expose those responsible for making and using these weapons. The other side of this theme is about prisons and prisoners of war. 2 songs from the data pool were actually written by incarcerated or exiled people, which is a reminder that for resistance movements and music to exist in the first place, activists, artists, and everyday people had risked their lives and sacrificed themselves for their movements. On the other side of that coin, 2 more songs from the sample pool, from Palestine and Vietnam, share almost the exact same story of a woman longing to see her lover, who has been captured as prisoner. Passed through generations, these pieces pay homage to earlier resistance figures, as well as emphasizing that some conflicts are the same or even worse than they were decades before, especially in the instance of the Palestinian struggle. So those were the 3 most represented lyrical patterns in the data, but please note there are about 12 other themes unmentioned. On to research question 2, characteristics of resistance music. I was able to find 2 key characteristics. First was the use of genre, which we'll be exploring by listening to the music together. The most used genre, taking up 7 out of the 17 pieces in the sample pool, was a traditional or cultural genre, or a musical form that's exclusive and unique to the artist's particular cultures. For these artists, merely making your culture, your music, and your people exist and known is an act of resisting, especially against powers that aim to erase you and your histories. Notice that all of these titles are also not in English, showing another act of preserving traditions such as language. I'd like to show you a video of a song which brings together the different sounds and instruments of the Pacific Islands. I can also just play it on my phone if that's easier. Yeah, all right. Let's see. Sorry. Hopefully we heard that.
Yes.
Okay. And this next song, which is a mix of rap and cultural, or actually, before that, the next most used genre was rap, or a mix of rap with cultural. These artists seem to be paying homage to Black American artists that popularized the genre, as well as using the genre's unique elements for their own specific purposes. In this song, which is a mix of rap and cultural, Saint Levant describes exactly why he uses the rap genre for his resistance art.
I tell myself that it's a privilege, cause I can talk about the way my people living, and I'll do it on this beat, cause I know you want to listen.
In this next piece, Sudden Rush uses the genre to make an old folk song urbanized, splicing together an audio sample from a historical Hawaiian speech.
We are not Americans. We won't die on the land. We will never be Americans.
Rapper Shapali uses the genre to make a singable song in the Tibetan language for his community to sing together. Ruby Ibarra uses the genre to empower her Filipina listeners on a West Coast beat.
They got evil plans in the devil's hands, but I don't pray.
afraid cause I'm organized. They got two ways to approach strength, but I teach mine how to mobilize. We don't fight for the money, for the greedy, for the white man. All we want is our freedom and the right to live on our motherland. Island woman dies, wala makakatigil.
And finally, 19-year-old Danny Jin writes a rap piece about boycotting with a catchy rhythm meant to help us remember all these complicit companies. The other songs in the sample came in a variety of other genres like rock, reggae, pop, and experimental, demonstrating that resistance music is not limited to one sound or mold. The last characteristic we'll talk about is the use of performance as disruption. Getting people where they're most comfortable, like Sahar Aryan on a national Afghan TV singing show, or in events that are formal and exclusive, like conferences and state legislatures, is where resistance music shines the most, especially for people whose entire homes were rendered uninhabitable due to foreign nuclear war testing, such as Bikini Atoll. There is no right place for resistance, and so no one needs permission to stand up for what's right. So using performance as disruption is a key characteristic of resistance music. To end, I want to acknowledge the limitations I had as a Westerner with language and cultural barriers, and I also hope that further research can be done in this region with possibly different focuses. Finally, I want to say that while this project was recognized by MMC's Social Justice Award, I hope that the message of, quote, celebrating resilience can be carried on, especially knowing that this school is currently being acquired by Northeastern University, an institution that is partnered with elbit systems and is involved in manufacturing the weapons sent to genocide the people of Gaza, while also failing to bring justice to any U students that were wrongfully arrested or suspended by exercising their right to protest and speak out about this very issue. I thank you all. Congratulations to everyone here, and remember, know your rights, free Mahmoud Khalil, free Sudan and the Congo, and no one is free until Palestine is free.